Are you ready to open up your heart, to tune in to who you are, and to understand where you come from, and that your soul holds a story, a purpose? And the story is not a solo journey. It is a journey of you and each individual that crosses your path. And everyone that steps into your path, they come together because they are here to teach you something. They are here to support you. Each individual is here to assist you, and for you to bring to them the gift of you. And as we journey in the journey of the soul, it's important for you to understand that as you move forward, everyone has a significance, no seemingly as insignificant as they may appear. It is significant. And in that energy, when you look into your heart and you trust that the universe has your back, people will come and people will go. But the question I ask is, are they a soulmate? Are they here for you to grow? Or are they here to test you? And if they're here to test you, is there a part of the test that's a trap? You see, the trap becomes a cell. And we become caught in a pattern of what we think we need or what we think we want. We become caught in a pattern that creates this energy of being tied to beliefs of what we think is important rather than what the soul is telling us. Now, we will have soulmates on our journey, people that we love, people that we work with, people who are friends, and every soul is an integral part of that journey, and not all are going to be easy. But that doesn't mean it's a cell. That doesn't mean it's a trap. It's the soul asking you to learn, and it's the soul asking them to learn and grow. And each individual has their place in that story. Some we will feel an intimate attraction to. It's a visceral, instant experience. And as we feel that, and we learn from that experience, we become aware of how we can transform. And that experience leads us to a connection that is powerful. And that connection that's powerful gives us the flow, gives us the journey of what's to come next, gives us the understanding as to how we are in this relation. You see, the relationship with someone is based on a contract. The contract is the soul contract. The contract is the agreement between you and the other soul. And when we have those romantic connections, well, bells and whistles and harmony and this energy of excitement and those butterflies in your stomach, they come up. And that instant attraction that draws you, well, that brings you in. But is that the instant attraction to draw you in for the soul story? Or is it the instant attraction that's there only for the physical experience? And the person is just passing by. You see, human nature, we're tricky beings. We are the beings that look for a reason to hold on to things. We don't like to let go. We don't like change. So when we feel that instant magnetizing energy, we say, oh, this is it. This is my soulmate. This is the person I was meant to be with. But is that really the truth? Or is it that chemistry? Now, chemistry has its place. But when we journey to get to know someone, when we discover who they are, when we dive down deep into the depths of their personality, and we dive down deep into the depths of our own personality and recognize our own wounds and recognize their wounds, this is where we see if it's really a fit. But sometimes we've gotten so caught up in that magnetized feeling that we get sucked up and we forget to look at the personality. We forget to look at all the little nooks and crannies that make someone who they are. And in this tapestry of their soul, they too have their lessons to learn. They too have their experiences. They have this story that needs to be told. And is their story compatible with our story? Now, in this relationship building experience, most of us don't spend enough time asking questions. We don't spend enough time drilling down and really understanding who the person is. And then there are those that are so wounded that come into our energy that they have been able to shield and hide. And even if we do ask questions, sometimes they're in our energy, they're in our experience, but they've put up such a wall and such a front, more of an illusion, a facade. It doesn't always work out, because as we are knee deep in the relationship, we recognize, oh my goodness, this is not what I thought I signed up for. And that becomes a struggle to get us out, a struggle to not hurt another. It becomes complicated, intricate. So was that a trap? Or was it a lesson? A lesson for you to not jump into things listening to your ego and your personality and what someone brings to the table that serves you at the banquet of your life. But rather, how are you being of service first to yourself? And how are you being of service to the divine and the master plan? I know, we think that we make all our own choices, and we do, but there's a master plan. It is an intricate undertow, pushing the water, the waves in our experience to the next shore or to the next big wave. And it's up to us to navigate that. That's a big assignment for a soul. And if we find ourselves trapped in a cell, often we're caught in this energy that makes us feel as if I don't know who I am. I feel as if I've stepped away from where I've been, who I thought I was, and I got caught up in a relationship that doesn't let me be who I've come to be. But again, in this cell, this individual, this energetic experience, now you, in your own experience, have the ability to shift right out of that. But whatever the story is that brought the two of you together, sometimes it's things that tie us together, filled with securities, with families, with children. How do you extricate yourself from that when you've built a family? And so people stay. And in the generations gone by, it was traditional to stay, traditional to make that choice. But there also was a willingness to put in the work. What's happening now is people are not willing to put in the work. When the going gets tough, the weak get going. You've got to roll up your sleeves. And you've got to listen. If someone's in your experience and they're challenging you or creating this environment of feeling stuck or feeling as if you're in a cell, what did you do to attract that? And why has the universe, why have you allowed it to come in? It's so easy to point a finger. It is. And that doesn't mean that everything's all on you, that you're stuck somewhere because it's all your fault. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity for you to size up who you are and seize the energy and the force and the courage to make the change. For all you know, that was the test. But so often I sit across from people, and each one of you has this experience, at least once, where you recognized a pattern. And experiences can become soulmate experiences. It doesn't even have to always be linked to a person. Experiences can become our cell, our trap. And we can't get ourselves out of the pattern because the governing force inside of you is your insecurity or your wounds or an aspect of your personality that is governed by the what I want as opposed to what the universe wants for you. The universe has a plan. We have to be willing to listen. And when the universe whispers, get out, move on, we've got to be willing to hear that. Now, how do you know it's the universe, the divine guidance, and not your own stubbornness saying you've had it? Be it at a job, be it in a friendship or a relationship. How is it that you know? There's a recognizing that you're not willing to put in the work. There's a recognizing that you're not willing to show up. There's a recognizing that when the going gets tough, you're recognizing that you just don't want to be bothered. And it's too much trouble. Well, as humans, we're complicated. We're intricate beings. So there will be times in a relationship, a friendship, where it's going to feel like it's a bit of trouble. And it could even rock you to the core for a moment. But a soulmate, someone who is of a divine connection, is willing to hear and learn and grow and change and, yes, even accommodate to make the other feel as if they too are a part of the experience. And when we don't have that, it becomes complicated. It becomes an energy that is filled with frustration, resentment, anger, and apathy. And when someone becomes apathetic, they're out. It's really over. And how many people you know have become apathetic in their relationship, not contributing, not really being an active force, but 20 years later, they're still together. That's a cellmate. The soulmate asks the very important question, without sacrificing self, how may I serve you? How may I make you feel as if you're an active part of this experience? But the person who's, well, the warden of the cell is really more concerned with what they want and how they want it to be and pleasing themselves, making sure that life is satisfactory to them, and not allowing the other person to really enjoy the relationship because they become a dominating force. So the warden of the cell in this cellmate experience often uses someone's wounds to keep them trapped, recognizes their power, even if it's in a underlying passive aggressive, and it's not always about how boisterously they dictate what they want. It's really their energy of edging the other person out so that they don't feel like they have anything to say in the experience. Constantly taking up time. Constantly expressing what's important to them. And not asking the question, how may I serve you? An interesting thing. This goes on in friendships, and it goes on in families. Now, family dynamics, they too have a opportunity to be a soul family that will have its wobbles and differences. But they also have other soul family experiences where there are a lot of wounds, a lot of trauma. And the patterns of guilt and obligation hold the people or the family members in the cell. And you may have that in your own family. Does that make your family members bad people? No. It just makes them coming from a place of wound rather than their soul. And their wounds dictate their actions and their reactions. It's unfortunate. But that's your soul contract. You chose to pick the bunch of nuts that you roll around with. So how can you extricate yourself from something that is not healthy? You have to remember who you are. And you need to find your voice. And when your voice is spoken and then still not heard, when the other does not allow, then we are in the cell. And sometimes it could feel like a solitary confinement, even if you're in a relationship. You have that power. You have that power inside to choose. But as you're choosing, whatever change you wish to make, in whatever place you are in a relationship, a work environment, a friendship, a family story, whatever you're trying to navigate, you have to ask yourself first, am I here to still learn? Or do I understand the lesson? Do I take the wisdom? And am I in a place that can move forward to create a new story? Because many of us who extricate ourselves from something that's a trap step right into another one. That workplace story. You leave a job because you're unhappy, you're having conflict with coworkers. You land in a new place and you're like, oh, this is the perfect job. And 3 months later, you're like, oh my goodness, I went from the frying pan to the fire. These are all soul relationships. And they're all asking you to grow and to let the universe prompt you, align before you, align with you what is best. It's all there. It's just we get stuck on what we want and how we want it. We get stuck in pleasing me, 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 me. And we're not listening. We're not listening to our inner self. We're not listening to others who are really giving us all the information we need. And I know, love is blind. Sometimes we see a lot of the information, the writings on the wall. But alas, our physical reaction to the person, our emotional desire, or even our wounded self that needs to prove ourselves, decides we're going to forge ahead and just make it work. And then it doesn't.